So the trios tournament has already begun. Teams are basically moving forward to try to win this amazing trophy in this brand new tournament. We have all kinds of friendships fracturing and possibly falling apart. And we also have a couple of debuts thrown in there as well. This is a power-packed episode of Steph and Kat Talk WOW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the
Hey y'all, welcome to a power-packed episode of Steph and Kat Talk WOW, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of my platform HWP, writer for Daily DDT, and color commentator Book Your Girl, Book Your Girl, Book Your Girl. That's been featured on Battle Club Pro, the Belladonna Division, Spartan Wrestling, and I cannot talk today. And Black Girl Magic 2022. But of course, I am not alone. I am with my fabulous co-host. She is the creator of In Cat We Trust, the creator of the Women of Color of Wrestling in the Women of Color in Wrestling panel that's been featured in various comic conventions, and of course just an amazing super mom and an amazing writer in her own right, also for Daily DDT and other places. She is Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
Hey everybody, I am fine, a bit tired, but fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay and also a bit tired, but I am ready to get into some action because wrestling has been turning up. It's 2024 and it just seems like people are really standing on business in the first beginning and you're sort of having to catch your breath. But either way, we are here, living in the afterglow of it all, and I am just really excited and thrilled to even be a part of it. So yeah, I am just happy to be here to talk about these two episodes of WOW. We're sorry we couldn't be with you guys. But life be lifing, and you sometimes you just have to reschedule things. So we will be talking about the last two episodes of WOW, which is of course the trios tournament and who's gonna get the Tongas. And a lot has happened with that. Both of these episodes were full of amazing action, and like I said earlier, lots of debuts, and of course the continuation of the WOW Trios tournament. So, Katrina, how did you feel about both of these episodes and the trajectory of where we're going this half of the season in the new year, headed into
I
February?
I enjoyed both episodes. I was slightly perturbed by the number one contenders for the tag for the Tongas, but I'll get to that when we get there. But otherwise, I thought it was a really solid two episodes. Definitely good stuff happening. Again, I'm really excited to see what we're going to get going for it in the next few months of WoW.
Yes, absolutely. Both episodes were relatively good and action packed and also incredibly drama filled. It seems like they are not shying away from the drama, at the start of this year. And you can definitely tell more of it even in the more recent episode. And we are going to get to that. But yeah, like there's just all types of solid action and stories going on this amazing all female show. So, of course, if you are watching us on X/Twitter, on Facebook and YouTube, and on Twitch, thank you guys so much. And chime in the comments and tell us, what your favorite part of both of these episodes were. If you have any favorite WoW superheroes that you want to see on top, and just what you like in general, about women's wrestling this week as a whole. Because WoW is not only just a celebration of this particular promotion, but I like to think of it as a celebration of all of women's wrestling. So, If you bring up anything about WoW that you would like to see combined with the other women's wrestlers, we can get into that too, just to deal with the vibe. So, yeah, this is a safe space to talk about what we love in women's wrestling with WoW and beyond. So, of course, the first episode we're going to get into is the Trios tournament, which aired on Saturday and Sunday of January the 13th and the 14th. And Lauren Hunkley, of course, introed the first match of the Trios tournament with this, which was Team IQ Superior versus Team Spirit. And here was where we got a reintroduction to the disciplinarian. Being a part of Team IQ Superior, which is, of course, curated by Samantha Smart with the Classmaster and G.I. Jane. And the disciplinarian was definitely present all of last season. And a part of me was wondering, like, when is she going to come and be a part of this season? And she hadn't popped up yet until here. And that's very purposeful in that way. So I was glad to see her again. So yeah, like she was a really tough opponent throughout last season. So I was glad to see her get in the mix of this trios tournament. And of course, they took on Team Spirit in the form of Coach Campanelli, Ariel Sky, and the debuting Pep Riley. This match was her first match. Like, I can't imagine. I can only imagine how stressed out you have to be to make a debut one-on-one. But to have to make your debut in a trios match of like a 6-woman tag, like I can only imagine, how nervous she was. And yes, you could tell that there were in some areas where she was new, but at the same time, she was still game to step up to everybody on Team IQ Superior for all of the action that she was able to give. Her and Ariel Sky did make a great team when it came to their aerial maneuvers and a lot of the backflips that we know them to be famous for as gymnasts and cheerleaders and stuff. But then, of course, it was the size difference because you have the disciplinarian and you have Classmaster and G.I. Jane who look like they could just tower above you. And for the most part, aside from a few inches on Coach Campanelli, all of these women are bigger. And they were just pushing them in the first beginning of the match. And then Ariel tagged out and then brought in Pep. And it was just like a back and forth because these women were just, tossing them and just pushing them away like they were just rag dolls. But of course, they did fight back in an amazing way. And as they fought back, you had a couple of moments there where it did look like the disciplinarian and G.I. Jane and the Classmaster were trying to like dominate them and of course isolate them from their partners. But in the end, it was a miscommunication with the Classmaster kicking G.I. Jane as Coach Campanelli moved out of the way, and they capitalized on that win. And now Team Spirit has moved on in the trios tournament and they are victorious and they celebrated that win. And then Coach Campanelli cut a promo afterward and said, so now you see the skill and the sparkle that Pep Riley adds to Team Spirit. Now, because of that, I would like to reintroduce ourselves as the new Team Spirit. With Ariel, Pep Riley, and Coach, this team is truly what it means to be trios champions. You're welcome. So of course she's gonna add that sass at the end of it, and that wasn't the last time we saw her in this episode either, and Team Spirit. So they were definitely basking in the glow, and they had all of the courage and all of the confidence going forward in this tournament. So Team Spirit came out with the win here. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both teams?
I thought it was a really good match. I liked that we got the disciplinarian back. We did say, that she was missing a little bit in this season, and I guess it made sense to kind of get her back because I felt like she was somebody with size that's perfect for a situation like this. And then you have G.I. Jane, who's also pretty tall, and then you have the Classmaster, who's pretty tall. And so in Samantha's, defense, she made sure that her girlies, you know, had something that could be used. Did it work out for them in the long run? No, because Team Spirit did come out with the win. But I feel like a good part of it was like, Pep was able to kind of keep up to an extent with Coach Campanelli and with Ariel. And so it helped. I think it's cool for her that you have your debut match, you have your debut with a team, but then you won your debut match. Like you're on your way possibly to becoming a trios champion and your debut. And so that's like crazy to me. I feel like there has to be a lot of emotion for Pep Riley, just because it's like, yeah, you got a couple of things happening right now in your debut. You're also on the road to possibly becoming a champion, possibly becoming a trios champion. And so I thought, again, it was a fantastic open. And I thought all the ladies did what needed to be done, but Team Spirit was just a little bit better at keeping the communication open, which is kind of weird for me, only because, not in a bad way, just like you would think that the disciplinarian and G.I. Jane and them would have had some conversation. You guys kind of been around each other for some time now. You think you would have more communication with each other rather than Pep, who just joined. And while I know there was auditions, it's still, you have to get the dynamic with any team, and you're add a new member. You have to get used to each other. You got to get a dynamic going, and so to have that, and they won. I think it's pretty cool. So Coach, I was saying, because she was a little cocky with her promo after, she should be very proud of what she was able to accomplish with her team.
Absolutely. And what's so funny is just that I really did, not to say that Team Spirit, isn't, talented the way that they are, but you would think that with the level of newness that Pep Riley has, that maybe there would have been a little bit of a scariness, or like a little bit of a offness in their rhythm, because she is still very new to them. But for the most part, they did operate really well. And it did surprise me that IQ Superior didn't wind up, going forward, because of course you have Samantha Smart out there who was trying to low key cheat, like she always does. And you have these powerful women who are just larger than them, just going forward with brute force. But as you can see, sometimes going forward with brute force without skill doesn't help. And that's really what wound up happening. And it wound up working out to Team Spirit's benefit here. So they are moving forward in the tournament. And then they went on to announce that the next match that we will be talking about later in the tournament would be the Mighty Mites and Steffi Slays versus Exile. And we will talk about that later. So Team Spirit went forward, and that was cool. So they did show a recap of the brawl between oh my god, not Samantha, Santana Garrett and Americana versus Jesse Jones and Amber O'Neal, which did end in a brawl and a double count out, which meant that they had to go for it and have another match, like I said, we will discuss later on in the episode. And they caught them backstage, and Americana was saying, tonight can't end up like the last time. And then Santana was encouraging her, saying, don't worry, it won't. And Americana said, I don't even recognize Jessie anymore. And Santana said, I do. This is the exact same thing that happened with Amber and I years ago. These girls will do anything to win, but that's not us. So what do you say? We'll teach Jessie and Amber the same lesson that they should have learned years ago. And Americana agreed, and they went forward, to prepare for their match. So they moved forward, and then also backstage you had the Tonga Twins talking amongst each other, and then Tiki Chamorro interrupted them and said, hey, do you guys want to watch my match later? And she was saying, and the twins were saying, well, we actually can't watch your match later, because we're actually thinking about we're going to go talk to David about who is going to challenge us for the tag team titles next. And this kind of bummed Tiki out, but then she kind of just brushed it off her shoulder, but you could still tell that it kind of bothered her a little bit. And that won't be the last time we'll see something like that in these episodes. Friendships are just fracturing left and right, and it's just really sad. So that leads us into the next match, which was Tiki Chamorro versus Gloria Glitter. And of course, Gloria Glitter was out here, being her regular, degular Lisa Frank peppy self, with her getting her steps in and all of the above. And this match was really good. I enjoyed it a lot, because Tiki is someone else who has grown a lot over these past couple of months since WOW, or this version of WOW, has started. And the fact that she was able to give Gloria Glitter so much of I won't say a run for her money, but still at the same time, still, stand shoulder to shoulder with her, who is basically like a veteran in the sport, was just really interesting. It was very hard hitting, as you can see, Gloria Glitter with those running knees and being rough with Tiki at certain points and kicking her down and slinging her forward. And of course, stepping on her back, getting her steps in, checking her pulse or whatever. But Tiki was just really, giving her that same amount of aggression back. But in the end, Miss Gloria Glitter wound up winning the match with her aerobic annihilator, who, if you look really closely, it really does look like a pedigree. Like when I saw it, I was just like, wow, that's like, it's giving pedigree and I like it. But Gloria won this match. And as you can see in this picture, she was also giving Tiki a camel clutch. So it was really good stuff. And then Tiki even reversed out of a number of her submissions as well. So this was a really good match. Tiki did a good job and has nothing to be ashamed of. But Gloria Glitter turned out the winner in it. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the performance of Tiki and what happened before the match? And how do you think this is going to sort of feed into how she sees herself?
I felt a little sad for her. I felt like this has been going on for a few weeks now with Tiki. Like she wants to, feels like she's trying to kind of keep the camaraderie together, the sisterhood together, and I don't seem like they're focused on other things, and so they're not really doing that as much. And she tried really hard. She did, and she was trying to get out of what Gloria was doing. But Gloria and just I felt like was a little bit more aggressive in this regard. And it was obvious how she was kind of just like kind of fling her a little bit. I felt like she was just a little bit more aggressive, and that's kind of why she got the win. I don't know if Tiki came in feeling a little down because she did well, but I maybe, and I've said this before, I like that she's nice, but she might need to just put a little bit more toughness in her move set, just a little more toughness, so she can kind of also stand on her own as well as if she needs to be with her sisters, she can do that, but also do so alone. And I think that's something that maybe she'll learn with the fact that she kind of keeps getting dismissed to an extent. Maybe this will lead to like some bit of a change as far as what she needs to do going forward as far as her career and WoW, but even if she decides to tag with anybody or whatever the case may be. And so but otherwise this was a good match. But I'm like, oh, Tiki felt bad. She's so sweet. And so you feel a little bit sad about that. But good match overall.
Yeah, I did feel sad about that. And yeah, the thing about Tiki is she can be really tough once she gets fired up. That's the thing about her. And I think a lot of the time when it comes to sweet people or nice people who just don't like to fight or just don't really like want to just be that confrontational at the first, outgoing of it, maybe, it's like she has to really like get going in order to just go super hard. Like unlike people like Gloria Glitter who just tend to go hard regardless. And I think that's something that Tiki can explore a little bit more, the further she gets in her solo career and the more she, learns to stand on her own 2 feet. And I have confidence that she can do that, but I don't want her, to feel personally sad about the idea that the Tonga Twins are champions and they might not necessarily, have all the time in the world for her and feeling like, she wants to depend on people being present for her, because something that I've learned a long time ago is just like you have to be ready to perform and be present for yourself. Like you cannot, as much as you love people, and as much as you want them to be there for you, you have to be present for you, regardless to what's going on. So Tiki has to learn that, and I'm more than sure that she can learn that. She's really strong in the ring, and I feel like once she changes her mindset in that regard and just gets tougher, and stays consistent with it, then she will be fine. But Gloria Glitter came out with the win here, and it was a really, good match and a great showing for her. And she is still someone who I still believe could be WoW World Champion, if not by this summer, then definitely by the fall, because she is just really good. She's just really good. And she clicks, her entire character clicks. Her athleticism is just on point and I love it. So Miss Gloria got the win there. So moving forward into match number 3, we had a very spirited fight here between Chantilly Chella and another debuting new WoW girl in the form of Lil J-Boogie. And when I tell you this was probably one of the sweetest and also toughest matches I've ever seen. It just was because, of course, we love Chantilly Chella because she brings the dancing vibes. She brings all of, her fun and her glittery cape and everything, and she throws it and stuff. And she's just really cool in that way, right? But then you have Little J-Boogie, who also likes to dance. She comes in and she has on this amazing outfit that's in some of my favorite colors, purple, and it looked like gold on television, but now looking at this picture here, it looks like a little bit of like a neon green. But either way, like, I was partial to it. I loved it. I love graffiti. She had graffiti on her jeans, and she came out with a bump box, and I love bump boxes. Like, I don't have one right now, but I definitely believe that once I do move into my own place, I'm gonna get a bump box because those are just the cutest. And she's carrying it and she's just dancing with it, like, of course, a lot of people used to do back in the day with the break dancing. But I love it because I love hip hop dance in that regard. So seeing her, I just thought that was just amazing. I just fell in love with her at first sight. I was just like, I love her. I just love her. And it seemed that Chantilly Chella loved her too, because even as they were fighting with each other and testing each other, they would always sort of stop and sort of give each other like high fives and dance with each other and everything. I was just like, okay, like, it was just really cute to see them, get along while also at the same time challenging each other. And Little J-Boogie is someone else we really do need to keep our eye on, because there were lots of reversals going on where there were moments where Chantilly would try to, like, would give her an arm drag, and then, or at least 2 or 3 arm drags, and then Lil J-Boogie would give her 2 or 3 arm drags back. They were so parallel to each other that I was just like, has Little J-Boogie just been watching her, and we just didn't know? Or are they the same person just in different bodies? Because it was just insane. Like, they would try to pin each other, like in a rocking chair type of move, like just going back and forth. And I was just like, man, like, this is just really good. And for this to be Little J-Boogie's debut, here again, these women are just coming out here on television for the first time and just doing a dang good job with these people who are veterans and probably been doing this for 10 plus years, and they are just stepping up their game. And it was just so cool. I enjoyed this match so much. And they clearly enjoyed wrestling each other too. And it was just amazing. And even in a surprising move, Lil J-Boogie wound up winning. And in this season of WOW, we've seen a lot of the newer girls, make their debuts and not necessarily win their first matches. But she won her first match against Chantilly Chella. But Chantilly, had a lot of sportsmanship about it. She gave her a high five and everything. They were cool about it. They danced together, and that was the end of that. And they did have an interview with Lil J-Boogie that they did post on their social media, and she seemed really excited about it. Like, she was just really thrilled to be a part of WOW and everything. So it was just fantastic. It was a fantastic, debut showing for Lil J-Boogie, and it was a great showing for Chantilly Chella as well. So, Katrina, tell me how you felt about this match and just the debut of Lil J-Boogie and what she might have to offer later.
I thought it was a really fun match, and shout out to Chantilly, as I was very fortunate to be able to interview her other counterpart, Raylan. But I thought it was a really fun match. I like that this, like, even with it being their debut, I feel like with the other matches, to an extent, the new debuts, it was always kind of like there might have been respect, there might not have been respect, but it wasn't necessarily the same level of like, okay, yay, kind of vibes. I felt like with this one, they had a lot of like it was friendly. Like they did what they needed to do, but it was a friendly kind of bout, kind of just to see like, okay, we're seeing what we're gonna do in this matchup. And I thought it was really cool. I was surprised that Chantilly lost. I was. But it's also cool to, it's one of those situations. It's like you gotta have a winner, you have to have a loser. And it's like, well, when one person wins and one person loses, you're like, oh man, because you're like, well, who did you want to win? When both of them just seem like, cool, both of them seem nice, and so it's like I was sad for Chantilly, but also it was a nice debut because I felt like, you know, to come and fight somebody like Chantilly, who's been wrestling a long time, may I add, even, including WOW in the resume, and still kind of come out with a victory, but still have some level of respect for each other. I thought that was pretty cool. But I thought it was a really, really fun, like, upbeat kind of match. I thought definitely something I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens going forward, Lil J-Boogie, see what we get going forward. I'm with it. But yeah, really, really fun match. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed it as well. And it's just, and also like shout out to you because you interviewed Raylan and it's just seeing that, made me really happy. And then just the idea, that there are some things coming up for us that I guess, we might announce or talk about towards the end of the show. I'm not sure. But just seeing that just made me feel like, oh snap, she's talking to her, and that was just really cool. So your interview with her was really great. So if you haven't already checked out her Katrina's interview with Raylan on NCAT We Trust. It was really good. So yeah, please check it out. It was great. So yeah, like just watching these two go back and forth was really great. But the thing that I find the most refreshing about it is just sort of like the spirited competition of it. Cause wrestling has had that classic back and forth. It was always the good guy and the bad guy, or the good girl or the bad girl. It's always refreshing when you can see two people who clearly have respect and love for each other, go at it and fight. Like it can be really taxing at times to always watch a protagonist and an antagonist go after each other a lot of the time. Now, of course, we're always going to be invested because we love wrestling. We love those stories. It's classic storytelling. But at the same time, I would love it a whole lot more if we did see, people fight each other who don't necessarily hate each other. Like, can y'all fight and love each other? Yes, you can. It's possible. So I would love to see, more rivalries like that where it's, friendly competition, and it's not like anything that's just like, oh, well, I hate you and you did this and, let's tear each other apart. Like, no, let's fight each other so we can test each other out. And I really feel like this match had those vibes to it. So I would actually want to see them fight each other again. But, we just got to wait and see for that. But Lil J-Boogie came out the winner in her WOW debut. So congratulations to her. And yeah, she's great. I love her. And then there was one pose that she actually did in the ring as a breakdancer, like where she was like leaning forward on her arms and hands. And I was just like, I've actually done that before in dance class. And it took a heck of a lot of practice and a heck of a lot of balance to figure it out. So kudos to her for doing that in the ring. So yeah, after that match took place, we see Classmaster and G.I. Jane talking to each other about, how they lost the trios tournament. And essentially they were blaming each other for it. And Classmaster was saying, we would have won it if you were actually focused. And G.I. Jane was like, I am always focused and I'm always sharp. And the Classmaster said, well, that's not what Samantha said. Like she was making it seem like Samantha, felt like G.I. Jane was the weak link in their chain. And G.I. Jane was like, no, ma'am, like I'm not the one that was messing up. You kicked me off the apron, so you might need to chill. And they were making it seem like, I guess at some point, maybe they might fight each other, or maybe they'll have more disagreements, which could lead to them having a fight with each other. But either way, it felt really messy and really tense. And I was just like, oh, the stress and the shade of it all. But I guess when stuff doesn't go your way when you're on a team, y'all tend to like eat up each other and just be like, oh, you could have did this or you could have did that. But in actuality, it was both of y'all. Y'all need to figure your stuff out as a team, but anger. So then backstage, we also ran into Ariel, Sky, and Pep Riley celebrating their win. But of course, Coach had to get her, Coach on and said, like, look, we barely won that match out there. We pulled it together towards the end because I pulled through with the victory. I'm doing an amazing job because I'm the best at everything, but I have to split my attention and my focus between coaching you guys and wrestling. There may not be an I in team, but there is an I in Campanelli, Riley, and Ariel. As long as you listen to the coach, we'll make it to the end of the tournament. And I thought that was really cool how she incorporated the I's in their names. I thought that was really cool, but I kid you not, like anytime I hear someone say there's no I in team, I just think about what Shaquille O'Neal said that Kobe Bryant said to him one time. He said, there may not be an I in team, but there's an M and E in that mother effer. And I was just like, ah! I died. I could not stop laughing when he said that because I was just like, oh, that sounds like a very Kobe thing to say. But it was gangster and he meant it. Um, so yeah, there are eyes in Coach Campanelli, Pep Riley, and Ariel Sky, and they want to continue their winning ways. But I hated that Coach was she just kept talking about all the good things that she did and how she just coached Ariel and Pep to victory as if they didn't contribute to the win either. And I was just like, girl, get your head out of your behind and actually give credit, where credit was due to your team members. Like, they pulled out that win too. It wasn't just you, Miss Ma'am. Like, stop. So, Katrina, how do you feel about these backstage shenanigans?
I wasn't surprised with Coach saying that because Coach kind of always gave the vibes that even when she's done something by herself, but when she joined, even with Randy Rara, it was always like she was the reason success happened. And so her saying that very Kobe-esque line, I'm like, this sounds like Coach because Coach can never just give credit where credit's due unless she's giving herself credit. I feel like the credit is only due if she's the one giving it to herself, and so I wasn't surprised with it, but I definitely do see this as like there's a lot of discord happening. I don't think necessarily with Team Spirit just yet. I feel like because we just got her in there, I don't think that's going to happen. But there's definitely some discord. I feel like this is the season of discord and breaking things up. It seems, it appears. And it makes me kind of sad, even with some of the heels, because you're like, oh, well, you kind of used to them being together. And so it's like, oh no, like even if they're doing shenanigans, you're like, oh, but not together. Like, I don't know. And it makes you a little bit sad about it. But yeah, definitely not surprised about Coach. I'm like, this sounds like a Coach thing to say. Like, she just says whatever, not even concerned about the team who also do some work. So I believe even with they got the titles and Randy had a lot to do with some of that, she completely ignored that Randy had a lot to do with it last season. And so I feel like now, even if they're gonna be helping, she's like, yeah, but I'm the reason I coached you there. So would this be a problem later on? Possibly. Right now I think they'll be okay, but it could very well be a problem later on, and they might get a little annoyed with her slight arrogance in how she kind of deals with them as a team.
Yeah, it's annoying. And then even with that, it's just like you can tell that there's a little of annoyance. Even this might be me nitpicking, but there's a little bit of annoyance every time, she blows her whistle and stuff. Because even Ariel's like, "Oh my God, why?" But but even outside of that, like you can't just, take all the full credit for, all of your winnings and stuff. And that's another thing we're gonna have to talk about when we get to the next episode that we're discussing. Like, you can't just take all the credit as the leader and be like, "Oh, I'm doing this, and the reason why we're winning is because of me and me coaching and y'all doing this and doing what I say and all this other stuff." Like, it's annoying. Like, girl, I need you to fix it. Like, I just need you to fix it because it's not all about you. And yeah, you're the coach, and yeah, they do have to listen to you. But if they don't listen to you, then who's going to win your tournament, coach? Who's going to win your tournament, coach? In the sense that, exactly. So that's where we're at with that. So the main event of this episode was Jessie Jones and Amber O'Neal versus the All American Girls 2.0, Santana Garrett and Americana. Of course, like we mentioned earlier, they had their fight in the last episode, in the previous episode, which ended in a brawl. It was a double count out. So this was them, just trying to run it back so they could see and have a definite winner. This match was pretty hard hitting for the most part, and it was definitely kind of emotional for me in the sense that that Jessie and Amber were pulling Americana apart from Santana. Santana was being isolated a lot of the time. They came in really serious and ready to fight at first. And even though Americana had a good showing there and then she tagged in Santana, Amber and Jessie were utilizing all kinds of dirty tactics to sort of just keep her away from her partner, knocking her down, choking her out, with their boots and everything, hitting her over and over again, yanking her hair down. They were just going crazy. And it just felt like for every time Santana kept trying to fight back, they would just find a way to just work her down and then also like try to like hurt her arms as well. Cause Jessie is a technician when it comes to trying to hurt your shoulders enough to where it weakens your arm and you can't do anything. But of course, all the moments in which Santana was able to tag in Americana, she was able to make a difference. The more she performed, she ran in with a number of clotheslines and just kept trying really hard to, win the match. But in the end, Santana got knocked off of the ring apron, and Americana got a super kick from Amber O'Neal, who took the cover and won the match for Jesse Jones and Amber O'Neal's team. So sadly, the All American Girls 2.0 didn't get to win this one, and I was bummed out. And afterward, of course, you could hear the boos from the crowd. They did not like the fact that the girls lost. And Jessie cut a promo saying, "What happened? One of these days, y'all gonna learn to listen to what it is I got to say. It's like Amber told you, we are here to dominate the tag division. David can't stop it. Santana can't stop it. Americana can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. Because now that my friend Amber O'Neal has got my mind right, we are going to make tag team wrestling great blank." Now, that's how the episode ended. It ended with them on top. As far as we know, they haven't said anything about another rematch per se between them and the All American Girls 2.0. But I would imagine that they just can't, take that sitting down because of how emotional, Jesse Jones and Americana's breakup was. But we just gotta wait and see because there is a lot going on. But Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the way it ended and what Jesse had to say at the end?
Wasn't surprised about what Jessie had to say. She kind of said it kind of before, alluding to where she was at, in this new tag partnership, in WoW. So I wasn't surprised by it. I was a little surprised by the win, but I think if anything, it just showed that Jessie and Amber kind of just went a little bit better together. Not saying that Santana, Garrett, and Americana doesn't have a connection. They do, but I felt like in this regard, especially the way it ended the last time, where it was kind of like brawling and there was no clear winner. It clearly, Jesse and Amber kind of carried it over until the next week, and so I think that's kind of what kind of propelled them a bit over the edge because they were always already feeling a little bit away. They were already, Jesse kind of also alluded that she would do whatever she need to do to get a win, and if it, like, we might not like it as a viewer, it's just that's kind of what she's been saying, and so it's unfortunate because you didn't really want that to happen with what they were doing and kind of how that played out, and why I can understand some of it to an extent. It's also like trying to understand the fact that, well, this is probably another way you could have explained your being disappointed in the choice Americana might have made, without doing what she did. So I mean, it was like, oh, that sucks, but also I'm not truly surprised. I feel like that because she's on this tirade right now, like she's gonna do what she needs to do to get what she wants to get, and that she felt she was being a bit hindered. That they are gonna. This is probably where they're gonna be for a few weeks. They're gonna just be doing whatever, and so I wasn't surprised in that regard. Just more so like, oh, because they were kind of being kind of not nice. But otherwise, I do think it was a very hard hitting match, and I don't think it's over. I don't think it's over. I feel like it feels like there's too much animosity between them to it be over already. But so I'm sure we're gonna get them across from each other, even if it's solo at some point. I do think we're gonna get that again, just because it's like it's too much animosity between them. You can't end that with a brawl one week and then afterwards, and then people, the audience, upset too. Like you can't end it like that. So it has to be some more given to us, and so But otherwise, really hard hitting. Like it was a solid match.
Absolutely. Like, I definitely don't think it's over because it was just too much between them. There was just too much anger there. So I feel like, even though Jesse and Amber said that they want to, continue their domination of the tag division, which is funny because they weren't in, a certain match that we are going to talk about later. It's just like, y'all got together. You're being very underhanded in the way y'all got together. You jumped Americana. Americana found a friend in Santana, and they evened up the odds, against y'all. And then y'all are just, they were in a sense the better tag team within this match, but at the same time, it wasn't by much. So I really feel that they need to have just one more tag team match against each other. And I don't know if they'll up the stakes and make it like a stipulation or something, we just never know what's going to happen with that. But either way, I do need them to fight each other one more time. Or if anything, Jesse could fight Americana, and that'll be a one-on-one thing, and that would be amazing too. So, yeah, that's how that episode ended. Of course, that was the start of the trios tournament. And that was, of course, from last week. So now we're going to move into this past weekend's episode, which was called Who's Gonna Get the Tongas? This was airing on January the 20th through the 21st. And this episode was fantastic. Of course, David McLean and Nigel Zane were on commentary and they were bigging up that one of their bigger matches on the card, which was the Beast versus Tormenta, which of course took place because Tormenta stopped the Beast's opportunity to take the WOW World title off of Abilene Maverick, Katrina's worst enemy. And it was just, them being angry at each other. So of course this was, I guess you could say, yet another revenge match for the Beast. And they were talking about it on commentary, but the show officially started with the Tonga Twins, the WOW Tag Team Champions, coming out and talking about, what's going to happen with who's going to challenge next for their tag team titles. And something interesting that David McLean did mention on commentary was the fact that at first he was afraid that maybe the audience wouldn't be as receptive to the Tonga Twins when he first signed them. But thankfully and clearly, he was wrong because we love them. We love the Tonga Twins. They're fantastic. They're beautiful. They're incredibly athletic women and they just give what they're supposed to give. And as long as you do that, we'll love you. And we love the Tonga Twins here on Steph and Cat Talk Wow. And I'm glad that, they did sign them because they're incredible. And yeah, I'm just glad that they're here. So they cut a promo and Conan said, we've been trying to decide who to give the next opportunity to face us for the WOW Tag Team titles. And then Chaos chimed in and said, so tonight we will have a fatal 4-way for the number one contendership. And we don't care who is going to win. We will fight them. So good luck. We'll be watching. And that was how their promo ended. So it was just really good stuff there. And I would love to hear them talk a little bit more, on the microphone, because I just feel like there's so much, attitude and so much sisterly vibes that I feel like they have that we just don't see. And I just want to see them. I want to see more of it on screen, even after they're champions. Of course, I want them to hold on to those titles forever, but even after they might not have them anymore, I want to see more of their personalities on display here. So I did enjoy seeing them on the mic for the little time that we did have with them. So it was cool. So Kat, how did you feel about their willingness for competition and basically helping David book this fatal 4-way?
No, I like it. There's one of the things we complained about with the Miami Sweet Heat was how they kind of always avoided the competition. They always avoided getting into altercations when they were champions. And so the fact that they're like, all right, we'll do what we need to do, get some new competition. Not did it play out the way I wanted to? No, because I'm like, I thought we were past this, but we'll get to that when we get there. But the fact that they were willing to even do that in the first place is like, all right, okay, Tongas, see what you girlie is gonna do. You ready to keep on defending and not kind of shying away from competition. I was a little surprised about them saying he didn't think the artist would take well to them because I'm like, why? I just feel like to me it's like what about them gives the vibe that they might not have been taken well to. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that one. Like, what are you looking at that I'm not looking at? I liked them when we first saw them, personally. I said from the very beginning, these are my throws, and I thought they should have been champions since then. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that necessarily, but otherwise, I like that they're willing to, set this up and kind of get this up to competition, and they're not shying away from, the fight as champions and not being the champions who's like, oh, I'll fight, maybe I'll fight. And I like that. I appreciate that. But then again, the Tongas are usually on it when it comes to that. Can it be a little nice to Tiki? Oh, yeah, you could be a little nicer to me, just a little bit nicer. But otherwise, I respect that they're willing to be fighting champions.
Exactly. Like I like that too. And it's just like, even though I do understand, how weird that did sound when David said that, maybe he was just having a little apprehension, because sometimes even when you have a decision that you want to make, there's always some type of voice inside that can kind of tell you, well, maybe you don't, or maybe da, da, da. And maybe it was that kind of thing, and maybe it just wasn't anything like too bad in that regard. So clearly he made the right decision in putting Chaos and Kona in front of us and introducing us to them. So I'm glad that they were and are still willing to fight anybody anywhere, and I was really, happy about that. So of course, the main event was announced and it was going to be the fatal four-way between the Last Call, the Mother Truckers, Miami Sweet Heat, and Las Banditas. And all of this was for the number one contendership for the Wild Tag Team titles. But the first match for this episode was actually, a continuation of the WoW Trios tournament, and it was Exile versus Steffi Slays and the Mighty Mites. And when I tell you, I was definitely surprised that the Mighty Mites were entering the tournament. I was like, okay, because they're still relatively new as well in terms of new girls. And then at the same time, you have Exile that's been going through their issues, and I was just like, okay, well, I low key expected and really wanted for the Mighty Mites and Steffi Slays to get the win, because we always talk about on this show how Steffi Slays, gets on here and gets on WoW as a WoW OG, wrestles really good matches and seems to up her game, little by little as this new season, has gotten started, but yet never comes out with the win. So I'm thinking, okay, these three are going to come together and give me something I can bite into. And they did throughout this whole match. They did. Like their chemistry was gelling together a whole lot more than Exiles was. And of course, a lot of that, stems from the fact that Genesis has her beef with Exodus and Ice Cold for them not being as consistently present for her, or her not being consistently present for them. It was just all this drama. And even you can tell in the moments where Ice Cold or Exodus had the, upper hand in the match, they kept tagging in each other. And Genesis was like, how come you're not tagging me in? She was being mad aggressive. And I'm just like, I'm going to need for you to chill. Here again, I'm tired of you. I'm tired of these people being leaders and just thinking that they can just, bum rush through everybody else. And it was just like trusting your team and let them, get the other team to where you want them to be, which is like defeat. And it just wasn't working. And there was just so much, acrobatic stuff that Sugar and Spice were giving along with Steffi Slays. And I was just like, man, like I wanted them to win so bad. There was one point where I believe Sugar jumped out for a suicide dive and then Exile wound up catching her midair. But then you had Steffi thrust Spice out there and she jumps and hits them and knocks them all down onto the floor. And that was just really good stuff from them. But that was where the breakdown happened. And I believe it was Ice Cold who hit a move onto one of the Mighty Mites, I believe, and then she covered her. But then here comes Genesis crazy butt, comes in and then snatches Ice Cold off of her and then takes the pin for herself. So Exile wins, but Genesis here was going into business for herself. And this irritated me. But not only did it irritate me, it irritated David. And David got on the microphone and was like, why did you like take that pin, away from your teammate? Like, you're talking about all this dominance and stuff, in this promo and everything, but you took that opportunity away from your own teammate. And she was just like, look, I'm used to being exiled. And sometimes as the leader, you have to do what needs to be done. And then she kept saying and reiterating that she was ready. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then Ice Cold had to snatch the microphone from her and say, look, we're ready. And I was just like, I was frustrated. Y'all can hear it. Like, I was very frustrated with it because they didn't deserve to win that. Like, I feel like by luck of the draw, they won that because Steffi Slays and the Mighty Mites ate them up. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but they really did eat them up in terms of chemistry, in terms of their athleticism, and just in terms of like all around really clicking as a team. They really should have gone forward in this trios tournament. So, and it's just like with the idea of Genesis not knowing what she truly wants to do, but at the same time letting us know what her intentions are, was just really frustrating for me. I was just like, Genesis, if you want to break up, then just say that. If you want to leave Exile, then just say that. Like, if you really truly feel that they are not your girls anymore, then you just need to put on your big girl britches, talk to your girls and let them know what's going on and how you're feeling. And if you ain't gonna fix it, then you need to leave, because clearly you're angry. You're not happy with them. Every time they tagged each other in, you didn't like it. I hate it. Exile is not giving what it's supposed to give anymore in terms of like the connectivity. I just didn't like it. And I hated that opportunity, was just stolen away by that moment. And it was such a good match, but Miss Ma'am just had to just crap all over. I was just really mad. But Katrina, how did you feel about the turnout of this match and the performance of the Mighty Mice and Steffi Slays?
I thought like this, it was good that like even though they didn't win it, but it was kind of nice to see Steffi seem like she had a little bit more upbeatness to this, because the last couple of matches we've seen with Steffi, she's really just it just was not it hasn't been great for Steffi. It's very unfortunate that she tried really hard and just it just wasn't working out. And so while they didn't win this one either, I do feel like her being with them helped her a bit. It felt like she was a little bit more confident with her moves during the match. During the match, I felt like she, you know, it set a little bit more together than she was in previous matches. Genesis, I do think, and I don't know if we're gonna get which her back at some point with Malia, if she will come back, because I feel like this whole I'm the leader is like, well, who said you were the leader? You kind of just said you were, on your own. It was never stated that you were the leader. It was never addressed that you were the leader. You just said that you were, and so I feel like in that regard, if you feel like you're to the point where you're like, oh, I'm kind of working for self, then you don't necessarily need to be in a group. You don't necessarily need to be in like a group with multiple women. And it's a weird thing, because what were you doing before in Exile? You were in a group of three. Like, it's not like you went solo and went into a group. You were already part of a group and you weren't the leader. And so I don't know if she's just getting a little bit ego, or she feels like, well, I'm the next in charge. It's one of those situations where you're just like, okay, whatever. Uh, if that's what's happening, but I'm like, girl, you wasn't even solo thing before. You was like in a group. Where is this even coming from? It's not like you had to like learn how to be in a group. You were in one. And so I think this is gonna probably break down even more than it should. But it's to be said, just for Steffi, it was made me a little happy that she seemed a little bit more upbeat about it. Because I mean, girl was just so, I don't know, it hasn't been good for Steffi, and I felt like you know her being teamed up, with Sugar and Spice, and I feel like in that regard, it just felt like it kind of helped her feel a little bit better about it, and maybe they'd keep them up for a little bit. It'll kind of help her get some of her confidence back. I think that's something she needs.
Yeah, that is something that she needs. And Sugar and Spice, they did a heck of a job. And it's just like I do want them to finally have a moment where they could have, a winning, moment, because ever since they've debuted, they have been losing a lot. And even though they are, new girls and they do have time, I do still want them like to, have the opportunity to win more things. And I really, really did feel like they could have gone forward in this tournament. But sadly, they didn't. And Exile is here. And I love the point that you made, Katrina. Like, nobody deemed Genesis the leader. I guess Genesis just felt like she was supposed to be the leader because she's named after the first book of the Bible, and was just like, oh, well, I'm first. So this is it. And Genesis and Exodus is second. But Miss Ma'am, you need to understand that Exodus is just as important as Genesis. Okay. Like, seriously, you need to chill. Like, you really need to chill and not just think that just because you're the beginning, that's supposed to be it, because Exodus is also a word for exit. And if you don't chill, Exodus and Ice Cold gonna leave you. They gonna leave you, and it's gonna be sad, and you ain't gonna have nobody to blame but yourself. So it's terrible. But I just don't see them winning this tournament at all, because they're just not connected. They are not connected. And when you have people like Genesis, who just wants to bum rush everything and run everything, when deep down inside we know she wants to leave, it's just like, girl, you are setting them up for destruction that they don't even have to have. They don't even have to deal with this. And you just messing them up. So, whew. Anyway, moving forward. We had a backstage segment with BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni running into Lil J-Boogie, who is really peppy and stuff, and tried to introduce herself. She was like, "Hey, I'm Lil J-Boogie," trying to be cute and everything, saying hi. But then, of course, BK and Gigi have stank attitudes, so they was just like, girl, who are you? We don't know who you are. Leave us alone." And then BK actually started rapping bars to her because, Gigi said so. And this is where, of course, Katrina, this is the part that you hate, when BK has her bars. And BK said, "Lil J-Boogie, you're just a rookie. Underneath pressure, you'd crumble like a cookie. I'm the queen of the mic. I spit right. You can't dance. You can't dance your way into my spotlight." And J-Boogie said, "Is that really how you see me?" And then she cleared her throat and said, "It's cool that you rap because you clearly need something, but you in the ring, well, you kind of struggling. Yeah, you got rhymes, but girl, you get dismissed. I bet you can't do this." And then she danced and did a little dance at her. And then she picked up her bump box and said, "See you later," and just left him behind. And BK and Gigi looked mad confused from it. But I'm just like, don't look confused. Y'all tried to diss her and she dissed y'all back. Try it again. So yeah, that's how that part went. It's interesting. So after that, we went to match number 2, which was Penelope Pink versus Kandi Krush. And in a sense, this felt like them running it back because the last time they did fight each other, it was on the July 3rd and July 4th broadcast of WoW, when Kandi Krush had the opportunity to fight for the WoW world title that Penelope Pink held. And this opportunity meant the world to her, but she wound up losing due to the Fab Four's shenanigans and everything. So yeah, their match the first time was pretty good, but in this match, it felt like Kandi wasn't exactly operating on the higher level that we are used to her, operating in. And it was just really sad to see because it felt like for every time that Kandi Krush tried to get Penelope um into either one of her moves, Penelope had it scouted. She would knee her in her stomach, like just try to like hit her over and over again. And Kandi even tried her best to like fight through, and she went for a bulldog at one point. But here again, Penelope Pink had it scouted and pushed her off of her, and it was just tough to watch in some places. I was just like, God dang! It was almost like Penelope just knew everything she was about to do, like before she was even about to do it. And it was just really sad to see, like, dang, like Kandi Krush is really on the struggle bus now. Because at one point, she was undefeated and winning all the matches, and then it's like she lost last week, and now she winds up losing to Penelope Pink here, who was just going hard on her and everything. And it was just really tough to watch Kandi Krush lose in this way. And afterward, of course, Penelope Pink cut a promo. And let me just say, I was impressed at the idea that Penelope won this match recovering from a cold. So basically, she pulled a Michael Jordan and had a flu game, except it was a flu match. And she cut a promo afterward and said, "When I said I'm the best damn thing that this company has seen, that was nothing but a fact. So all the weird girlies in the back that say, I'm a wrestler, I'm a WOW superhero, I want you to look into my soul when I tell you what I am. I am not just a star, and I am no ordinary superhero. I eat, sleep, and breathe this business because Penelope Pink is the wow factor." And as much as I feel like she and I are frenemies, she gonna give us a good promo. I feel like she is probably one of the best promos in that whole company. Honestly, like, cause Miss Ma'am, like, she don't stutter, she don't struggle. Like, she just gonna look you dead in your face and be like, "Look, I'm the best thing WoW has to offer. You don't cut it. You can't cut it. I am it." And she'll look at you and just tell you dead in your face. And I can't I can't fight it. I just can't fight it. I can't fight how good she is, when it comes to the way that she speaks, with just so much eloquence and just she's just so sure about it. And it was just so sad to see Kandi lose in this way. And clearly you can tell Penelope Pink has an axe to grind because she is, of course, one of the people who feels like she got messed out of the title, that she should have won from Abilene Maverick. But everybody is working their way back up the ladder, and so is Penelope Pink, and her confidence is not shaken at all. So, yeah, Penelope Pink came out with the win. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match, and what do you think Kandi Krush needs to do in order to get herself back to her winning ways?
I think Kenny just need to. I don't know. I think her confidence might have been a little bit shaken. You went from winning everything and then you didn't win, and I think that was part of it. It's like you kind of went for it being kind of at the top with regards to wins, and now it's like, oh man, to be fair, Penelope Pink is not like she's new. A lot of Candy's matches this season were new people who was debuting, and Penelope's not new. Penelope, to be fair, has more experience even than Candy because Penelope wrestles separately as well. While Candy kind of debuted for us in season one, Penelope has already had her repertoire of matches on her, and so in that case you lost to somebody who was experienced, and so it's not like necessarily like the worst kind of a loss. I do think she probably needs whatever it was that she kind of went in on it, because I feel like it's one of those, like, you want to be undefeated, but sometimes unfortunately somebody can be better a better day and you lose and it's not the way we want it to be. She needs to find whatever motivation she had before to keep winning. But to be fair, again, it was Penelope. It wasn't like she lost to somebody who was new. This was Penelope. And, while you have seemed to have grown a little better with your choice, how your feelings towards Penelope, I was also very aware that while she said things sometimes it wasn't great, I thought she was a fantastic wrestler, and so that just, and also she's kind of angry. And I would be, personally, I don't see anything her being upset about. Like, this is a situation she was kind of screwed out of too, with that nonsense with Abilene, excuse me. And so, like, it's one of those, like, she's trying to get back, and even when she was also doing the shenanigans as champion, when she did fight, she fought for the most part, and she did what she needed to do. Was it shenanigans involved? Of course it was, but it's one of those, like, yay Penelope for getting yourself back on there, but also, mm, with regard to Candy, might just need a little bit of motivation to kind of get herself back into the game. I think she's probably just feeling a little bit unmotivated. Like, you lost after being completely undefeated, and that has to suck. That's a bit of a hill to kind of go down. So just whatever motivation she needs to get back in there, I think she'll be fine after that, though.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine too. And I do like that you mentioned the fact that Penelope Pink, has been out here wrestling and she has more experience. But I also imagine that that has to be tough on Kandi Crush's morale because it's like I mentioned earlier, like they had faced each other before for the WOW World title, and Kandi almost had it, but the thing was, Penelope was winning via shenanigans. And at that point, I could only imagine, having lost to her twice, not only due to the shenanigans of other people, but then due to the fact that your confidence is, beaten, and then Penelope beats you again. Like, I am more than sure, like, that has to be tough. Like, that really has to be tough on her morale and her spirit. And then it seems like it only got worse after the match ended when it comes to Kandi Krush and her spirit, because as she was, escaping to the locker room, she runs into Princess Aussie. And of course, they had their friendship at first before Princess Aussie won the title and stuff and lost the title and all of the above. And Princess Aussie was saying, like, look, I've been looking for you. And then Kandi was like, hey, what's up? And then Princess Aussie said, look, I'm really sorry for being absent lately. And then Kandi Crush said, it's okay. It's ancient history. So then Princess said, cool. But hey, since I did get to, watch your match, I got to take a couple of notes for you. I think that would really help. But Kandi Crush wasn't hearing that. She said, look, Aussie, I already know that the match didn't go well for me, so I really don't need the notes. And then Princess said, well, yeah, but that's how you improve. Like, everyone, we all need to improve. And Kandi said, well, yeah, of course, we all can improve. But over the past 10 weeks, when I was trying to get notes from you while I was undefeated and trying to stay undefeated, you were too busy for me you were too busy for me, and you couldn't make room for me on your oh so busy former champion schedule. Thanks, but no thanks. And then Princess Ozzy said, but I was just trying to help. And then Kandi just, walked away. And when I tell you, Kandi said your oh so busy former champion schedule, I was just like, so you just going for the jugular? I was just like, dang, that hurt my feelings. And it wasn't even involving me. That was just some grade A shade. Like, but it's true though, because every time Kandi tried to ask Princess Ozzy for help while she was undefeated and, trying to get notes from her, she was just like, no, I can't do it because I've got championship stuff to do and all this other stuff. And now you want to give me notes, after I've started losing. And the one match that I wound up losing after my undefeated streak, you got notes on because you were out there on commentary or whatnot. Like, girl, make it make sense. So yeah, there's that anger. So Katrina, how did you feel about this little blow up between Princess Ozzy and Kandi Krush?
Not surprised. I feel like everybody's kind of in a, especially with some of the shenanigans that's happening this season, people are frustrated. And I feel like this is kind of what's happening. Do I agree to an extent that maybe Princess Ozzy should have been a little bit there, a little bit more? Yeah, I do. I do. And that was kind of obvious, even up to last year with some of the, like, it seemed like she wasn't as in focused on the, the friendship side, but also she was champion. And she also kind of got screwed out of her championship as well. And so it's, even with somebody you can love quite dearly, you can love your friends and family quite dearly, and sometimes you just disagree and things happen and you got to take a minute and let it cool down, whatever the case may be. And so I'm hoping it's nothing like really crazy. To be fair, Candy's comment is something I would probably say if I'm a little annoyed, because I can be petty as well, and I'll probably go for the juggler. I'd rather not, but I can. And so I was like, oh, like yikes, but also like it's a yikes, but also like, ooh, I don't know, I might have went the same route, to be fair, but also yikes. And so, but hopefully it's just like just a little moment that she's a little frustrated, and it'll be fine. Especially if she's saying like it's ancient history, because if you say that and then they blow it up 2 seconds later, it's like, well, is it ancient history? You seem a little annoyed now, so is it ancient history? So hopefully it's just like a simple, she was a little bit frustrated that she lost, and it'll just stay that way and not become this whole huge thing of like, oh, they're gonna break their friendship up too, because it seems like that's what's happening with everybody this season. So but I understood to an extent. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see how this might be a little bit sad or annoying after I was asking for assistance before and you was kind of MIA in that regard.
Yeah, I understand her frustration. Like, I get it because it's just like, look, like you didn't make time for me. Once you got leveled up, like it's sort of like that little back and forth that you have where it's like you reach a level of success and people sort of look at you and wonder, if you're going to change when you reach that level of success, or are you going to still be the same you? And yes, when it comes to evolving, of course you do have to evolve, and not be the same person that you was before. But at the same time, you don't want to lose the people who actually care about you either. So I definitely understand, from both perspectives, what is going on with that. And I just don't want their friendship to break up because it seemed like they really found, a confiding place in each other. So to watch them sort of have these differences, like that really upset me, because to the point to where I even shared it on my Instagram, and I was just like, I need y'all to fix it. And Kandi was like, hey, it's not my job to fix it. And I was like, God dang, okay. Social media. Social media. Oh my God. But yeah, like shots fired. Kandi really feels like, she isn't in the wrong. And yeah, I guess there just has to be, some mending of the fences. That is, if there's going to be any mending of the fences. We just got to figure that out. But yeah, it was crazy. And I guess people are just in their, space where they're just arguing, fighting, and all of the above. But, after that comes peace, and hopefully they will find peace. So After this, we have match number 3, which was Tormenta, who of course came out there with the world's greatest attorney, Sophia Lopez, versus the Beast. And of course, this is the season where the Beast is getting all her licks back on her journey towards the WOW World Championship again. And of course, Tormenta was the one who was responsible for ruining the Beast's chance of beating Abilene Maverick for the WOW World title in their singles match against each other. So this is where this is coming from. And this match was pretty good. It was definitely like a battle of both of the bigger women here. The Beast came in, ready to fight. She actually knocked down Tormenta with a flurry of punches. And of course, Tormenta, kept trying to like sling her off of her and, hit those punches back to her and everything. And the Beast was just going hard and just knocking her out and tangling her up in the ropes and everything, just hitting her over and over again. And they even started fighting outside of the ring. And this is also where I saw Miss Minga, of course, the biggest WoW fan, have on a Beast t-shirt that she made that she was, putting up in the camera. So if you are in that area, buy Miss Minga's t-shirts. Buy her t-shirts. They're really cute. I actually have one with the Tonga Twins on there, and it's amazing. So please get her shirts. Shout out to her always. And it was just a really physical match to the point to where the Beast actually lifted Tormenta up and threw her into the barricade. And then there was a point where Tormenta finally actually knocked the Beast down and was about to hit her Meteora, but the Beast caught her midair and slammed her down with the power bomb and covered her for the 1-2-3. And the Beast got her lick back against Tormenta. So that was amazing. And afterward, she cut a promo saying that, she has something to say and something to get off her chest. She said that she came back to WoW to win the title that she never lost. And I don't care who I have to fight or who I have to beat. I will not stop until that championship is back where it belongs. And then she shot her shot at Abilene Maverick and said, now, Abilene, you can keep raising that championship over your head, but I'm going to have to remind you sooner or later that I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. I am the Beast. And yeah, that's what's going on. The Beast is going to come after her again, and it's going to be lit. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both of these women and the Beast's continued determination to get that title back?
I'm with it. I felt a little way that she lost it in the first place, and while being injured, you can't really always help that, and especially knowing how how her injury was extended, and that was unfortunate. But and while Tormenta, as she outside of when she has title match, I feel like title matches is where she's not her best. I feel like normally Tormenta does well except when it's a title match. I don't know why. It seems like something she's missing when she's having a title match. But she did well. It was just like, but girl, like we thought was gonna happen. You kept interfering, you kept doing shenanigans, you kept doing stuff. You think she was gonna come back when she was pretty much trying to get everybody that kind of did something to her in a way? Why would you think you're immune from the Beast coming for you too? And so, I was all with it. Everything she said, I'm like, yes. Because girly, you did not lose a thing. Okay? You lost nothing. And it should be that we're like, okay, we're getting her, hopefully getting the title back. Like I said, for me, it's anybody who can take it from her. I'm okay with it completely. But if the Beast get it back, especially considering she didn't lose it in the first place, I'm with it. I am all for it because she didn't lose it in the first place. I feel like let her have the option to lose it the way she was supposed to. If she's going to lose it, let it be lost the way she was supposed to, and not because some nonsense was happening. I felt like that was a really unfortunate situation for her, and so hopefully it all keeps working out for her. I'm looking forward to see who else she's have to kind of run through to get her title back, but I'm here for everything she was saying. I was like, that's right, girlie, you say it. I'm with it.
Exactly, because it's just like in my mind, like the Beast, of course, like she never lost it title. She had it. She had to like let it go, just because somebody was doing backwater stuff, just so the title could be free, so their friend could win the title in a gauntlet match, and that upsets me because the Beast was a fighting champion, okay, and it's just like with the way that she won the title, back in the day, and then with her being able to hold on to it at the start of last season, and then her having to give it up in that way and never having never being able to really get it back because it's been like three champions since she lost the title. It's like you had like Penelope, you've had Princess Aussie, and now we have Abilene, and it's just like no, like it shouldn't have been that way. Like she deserves a fairer opportunity. Like she really does. Like I don't need anybody interfering on behalf of Abilene or anybody else ever again. And if the beast is really gonna come for her, I'm gonna really need for her to come for her and have like at least 10 eyes in the back of her head so she can see what's going on. Because I do want the beast to have that title back. Even though another part of me wants Princess Aussie to have it back, maybe those two could actually fight each other in a number one contenders match. Because as far as I know, we haven't seen the Beast and Princess Aussie fight each other yet. I know they probably fought each other in past iterations, but in this iteration, we ain't seen it yet. And I want to see that happen. Like, what if those two had to fight? Because, you know, Princess Aussie was enthusiastic about fighting the Beast. She was welcome to it, but we didn't get it because her title reign was cut so short. So, what if those two actually fought each other, for the number one contendership? That would be cool. Maybe I should work for creative one day. I don't know, but either way, like it be bad. I be booking matches like while I'm eating breakfast. It's crazy. But either way, like I feel like that's something that can be explored because this beast, even though she isn't champion, she still knows that she's the biggest and the baddest. Like it's a mindset thing. Like just because you ain't got the title don't mean that you still don't feel good about yourself. And as long as she knows she's still that girl, then she is definitely, destined to be champion again at some point. So after this, we had a word from your worst enemy, Abilene Maverick, the Wild World Champion. And she came in, she was sitting at this sort of this very feminine presidential desk. And she had a computer and she had the title right next to her. And she said, I have a very important announcement to make. And then she said, I'm just kidding. No, I don't. And she just proceeded to talk about how in her life she's just had so much ease, when it came to money and power and fame, and how she took her inheritance from her mother, who was the governor of Texas, and went out to Las Vegas to get that VIP treatment life. And then as she was living her lap of luxury, she was watching WoW and realized that these champions and these girls are really mid. So I called David McLean when I found out about the championship challenge and said, hey, you need to put me on there because you need a little bit more sparkle. WoW needs more sparkle. Put me on. And boom, he put her on. And now she's a champion. And she was bragging about defeating everybody she's defeated, even though it wasn't really her defeating them, but she was still bragging about it as if she did it by herself. And she just talked about how she was even ready to fight Princess Aussie if she had to. And I'm just like, girl, you just talking about all this stuff like you done beat these people decisively. Like you are not it. Like, girl, stop it. It was just really crazy. But, she was just believing all her delusions. And just saying that she just plans on being the WoW World Champion for as long as she wants to because she's just, the VIP babe. So this is where we're at with her. So Katrina, seeing as this is your Penelope Pink, how do you feel about this?
See, I get that she's champion, and so we have to hear from her, I guess. But I could have definitely done without hearing from her because it was like, ma'am, what are we talking about? Like, if you actually win a match with some actual effort, then maybe I might be a little more lenient in my approach with you, but you're not. And so to have this level of arrogance and ego when you have done nothing to even earn that arrogance is crazy to me. It's like, girl, like if you are this great, then so am I. Like if you great, then I'm great. I have like 3 belts then. I don't know what belts I have, but I have 3 according to this logic. That this is the logic you're on. Stop it. I was highly annoyed. Highly annoyed. Because I'm just like, girl, at least with Penelope talked her smack and whatever, but she would at least wrestle for the most part. Like, and to be fair, she did win the title cleanly. She did. You know, like as much as I know, he was like, she did originally win the title, even with Vicky interfering. But in the actual match, she won it cleanly, and so that's a very big difference already. between that, and even when Princess Aussie won it, it was won cleanly. Like you coming in there doing nothing, talking about how it's girl, please. I was like, ma'am, if this is what you are, then this is what I am. Like we on the vibes. I view this. I'm wrestling too, and I don't. And I say this all the time. I do not wrestle. I'm a behind the scenes kind of girl. I did one bump, and I was like, oh no, that's not my vibes. That's not for me. And according to her, if this is what it is for her, then I am a vet. According to your logic, that's the vibes we're on. We're gonna be delulu together. Then we're both gonna be delusional. That's is where we're at. And so I'm just like, girl, stop. I was annoyed, highly annoyed. But I digress.
Yeah, I was highly annoyed too because I'm just sitting here like you said, it's just like she was acting like she was doing all this fighting. Like the one thing, it's so funny. You were talking about, how if she thinks, she's a champion, then maybe I'm a champion, or maybe if she's great, then I'm great. See, we are great because the difference between us and Abilene Maverick. We have work ethic.
That
She
is
does
true.
not. We have work ethic. She does not. Like her level of working is just like because she's lived such a life of privilege that she was talking about in this promo. I really feel like she feels like, oh, well, everything should just be handed to me because I am who I am and because I have all this money and power and influence and I'm a VIP and that's just it. Whereas a lot of these other girls, really did, work from the bottom or scrape up from whatever issue that they may have had in order to get to where they're at. Like, even though, of course, we have seen a spotlight on Abilene Maverick and her life, as a WOW superhero and stuff like that. Like her life is nothing like the lives of some of these other women who had to overcome a lot of different things in order to be, at this point on this high, level of television when it comes to wrestling. And Abilene is just kind of like girl, like this spoiled girl who is essentially a prodigal's daughter because ma'am, you're talking about how you left with your inheritance and I'm just like, has your mom seen you? Like what happened? Like what is going on? Like she's just very delusional and she just does not have, the whole work ethic thing because she just feels like everything should just be handed to her. And it's just like, girl, where's your effort? I'm tired. I'm really tired. But this is where we're at. And so hopefully, at some point we will see her in the ring again and hopefully putting up her title. So we just gotta wait and see for that. But that was a cute little dress she did. It was cute. But moving on. We move forward to our main event, which was of course the fatal four-way between Las Banditas, the last call, Miami Sweet Heat and the Mother Truckers fighting for the number one contendership for the WOW Tag Team Championships. And of course, the Tonga Twins were on commentary, putting in a little bit of their 2 cents there as they kept watching the match. And David actually surprised me here by telling Lana Star and Sophia Lopez to actually go to the back and not interfere in this match whatsoever. And I thought that was really interesting, but also really smart because, I mean, what in the world are they going to do with all of these women in the ring like this? Like, what could they possibly have to contribute in all of this mayhem, right? They probably would have found a way, but either way, like, I just don't see it. So I guess he just decided to send them back. And the tag team that I feel impressed me the most in this match was the Mother Truckers. Like, I was definitely rooting for them to win because it's like, the Tonga Twins said on commentary, like, they had never really faced them before. So in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, like, I want to see how they were going to perform in this match. And they did a phenomenal job, really bringing the fight to all of the teams. And it was just like all kinds of tough stuff going on in this match. You had Las Banditas, trying to take down whoever it is they got in the ring with their arsenals. You had Miami Sweet Heat, trying to bum rush their way through. You had the last call, being the power, bringing the power dynamic to this match. Like, it was just a lot of different fighting styles within this match that I just really, appreciated. And I was really here for the Mother Truckers winning. But just when I thought that Penelope Pink and I could be frenemies at the very least, she goes and does something that ruins it. She ruins it. by interfering her and oh my god, her and either Lana or her and Vicky Lynn interfere on behalf of the Carlson twins and hit the mother truckers upside the head when they were covering Las Banditas with those mirrors. And the Carlson twins covered them for the 1, 2, 3, and they won. So now they are your number one contenders for the tag team titles. And this irritated me to no end because this is the rivalry that just never seems to end because they just don't know how to let it go. Or really fully, here again, working their way back to the title picture in a healthy and fair way. Like they have to use underhanded tactics. And it was low key full circle because that's the same way they won those tag team titles in that tag team tournament at the beginning of WOW last season. And I was just like, y'all just, oh my God. Like it just frustrated me. I was just so mad. I was just like, God dang, why can't you just leave them alone? I was just so mad. And I just felt like this could have been Holly Swag and Big Rig Betty's time. It really could have. Because they had been fighting and scratching and clawing, been to jail and back, been arrested and back, and went through all this stuff, to finally get this number one contendership opportunity, only to have it screwed out of their hands by the Fab Four. And I was just like, man, sad face. And that's how the episode ended. But before we go, Katrina, tell me how you felt about this match and the way it ended, and just knowing that we have to see the Tonga Twins versus Miami Sweet Heat again at some point.
I wasn't happy about that. I do think it was a good match. I would have even been okay with the last call winning, only because I would like to really see them again really go with the Tongas. Because I felt like last time I was like, nah, we've seen these girls kind of demolish some of these people in the ring. Now all of a sudden they're not, and I wouldn't have mind seeing it. With that being said, and this is me, like I have to just a little bit take back what I said about Penelope. Girly, we didn't need this. Like you didn't have to interfere. I do like you still, Penelope, but you didn't have to interfere. I was highly annoyed though. I was like, God, I said some weeks ago, I said, I hope that we would not get this rivalry for some time. I need some time to pass. Refresh it back for me. And now I'm like, why? Whose idea was this? Why do we need to see this one more time? This has been the one rivalry we have seen pretty consistently since this iteration. Do we need to see it again? Like, really? Can we not? Can we not? And so I was highly annoyed. I was like, God damn it. Like, why do we need to see this again? And so here we are. And if they're already doing shenanigans, because clearly shenanigans was happening, then we're probably gonna get some, shenanigans. Unfortunately, during this match, I feel like it's definitely going to be some shenanigans in the matchup just because of what happened on this, and that's unfortunate. At least if you're gonna win it in a way that shows that you are who you say you are. And it's unfortunate. It's just super unfortunate. But I guess we're getting this again, so here we are.
I'm not speaking that into existence. The Tonga Twins are going to rise above, okay? They're gonna rise above them and their underhanded tactics because I'm sick of it, okay? Like I am absolutely sick of it because it's just like they've defeated them and fought them countless times before. Now, of course, that's not saying that Miami Sweet Heat is just resting on their laurels, because they are, a really good team who, consistently gets better a lot of the time. But you just cannot deny the Tonga Twins at this point in their careers. So I just don't think, that even though they might try shenanigans, there was that one point where they did try shenanigans with Penelope Pink and it wound up backfiring. And that was only a few weeks ago. So it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like it's just not time for the Tonga Twins to lose just yet. Like, I just want them to hold on just a little bit longer because, yeah, you have the Fab Four and they do have that wow factor, and that it factor. And yes, that's true. But so do Chaos and Kona. So I just really want them to, to hold on to it for a little while and just be fighting champions and not just, you know, lose it, due to just some crazy stuff, because because they just deserve better than that. So yeah, it's just crazy. But the Carlson twins, Miami Sweet Heat, are now, the number one contenders. So they have not yet announced when they are going to fight again, but I can assume it's coming up within the next 2 weeks. So yeah, that's where this episode ended, and I am so glad that all of you guys stuck it out with us, as we had a double packed episode to talk about both of these episodes that aired over the past 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting us in our growth of this show and the growth of our brands as a whole. Now, of course, if you are new to WoW and you want to get into it, from watching us or just seeing it in passing or something like that, or if you're looking for a new show to watch, you can watch WoW Superheroes. You can go on their website, which is wowe.com, and type in your zip code or your city or state or province or wherever it is that you live, and see where it's airing, for you, and it'll show you the channel and where it and what time it comes on for you. So if you live in the state of Alabama, it comes on My 68 on Saturdays at 6 p.m. unless otherwise stated. And it does come on a little bit later for a lot of different people, especially for Katrina in New York. But it is still definitely worth the watch, even if you do record it and watch it later, or if you do just stay up and watch it. It is definitely worth it. You can also watch episodes on Pluto TV, and from what I heard, you can watch it on Hulu, and you can also watch on their YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to, which is WOW Superheroes. You can follow them on their social media at WOW Superheroes as well, so you can see any posts that they make, any bonus content that they have recorded, or just any match announcements as well. Follow them. They're a great follow, and they are very interactive with their fan base, and they're interactive with us as well. So it's really cool stuff, and just continue to support this amazing show as the new year, kicks off, and wrestling continues to thrive in a big way across all promotions. So yeah, let's just support women's wrestling and love on it and love on WoW. So Katrina, before we go, do you want to make the announcement, or do you want me to do it? Because I feel like I've been struggling a bit and I'm tired. But yeah.
So yes, we have been very fortunate to contact some of the people at WoW, and so we will be doing some interviews with some of the girlies over at WoW. And the first interview I was able to do earlier in the week with Jessie Jones, and she had a lot to say in this interview, a lot to say about Americana. She had a lot to say, and so that will be live tomorrow afternoon. I will get the exact time shortly. But it will be live tomorrow afternoon, and we do have some more exciting interviews coming up, which I'm really happy about. So yes, again, just thank you guys for being with us and trusting in us and believing that we, at least for us, that we genuinely like the product and like the show, and that we really love these ladies. And so this has definitely helped us propel ourselves to kind of do this separately from where we came from. And so very, very gracious for you guys, but also to the ladies at WoW and Becca, thank you just for believing in us as well.
Absolutely. Like this has been a long time coming. We've been working really hard on our own show, and just the fact that it's gotten so much love, and it's had so much success since we started it. It's just been really amazing. And the idea that we now have the opportunity to interview these women who we have so many run-ins with on social media, and just support as a whole, not just from our love for the show, but also just for our passion for women's wrestling itself. Like, it just means the absolute world to us to be able to talk to these amazing women. And of course, over the next couple of weeks, we hope to give you the best content we know how to give, not only through these interviews but also through our post shows, and to keep it going as much as we possibly can, and to just give people a safe space to love on this brand of on this new TV show. It's not new, but then at the same time it is still new to certain people. And I'm just really blessed and happy that we have gotten to this point, and the fact that we've gotten to this point at the very beginning of the year just makes me feel like we are definitely on like the right track. And I'm just really grateful for all of you guys' support, for you guys watching us, whether it's live or later on. Like, just thank you guys for sharing, supporting clips, and all of those things, man, because a lot of hard work goes into this and we love it. You know, we wouldn't do it if we didn't truly love it, and if we didn't love those women there. And they show us that love back, and it's mutual and it's beautiful. So we're gonna keep that going. And yeah, that interview is coming out tomorrow, guys. Like, yeah, I'm so excited. It's gonna be on both our channels. It's gonna be on In Cat We Trust channel on her YouTube channel. It's gonna be on my channel for Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And you just continue to be on the lookout for any more announcements. Like, yesterday's price is not today's price. We standing on business this year. So, Kat, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you got going on.
You guys can find me on social media in Cat We Trust, Threads, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Easy3. I do have two new interviews. One last week with Miss Raylan, aka Chantilly Chella, and also with a tag team Shake and Bake, which is super awesome, and that's the week before. So that's on my channel. That's new. I do have some new reviews coming up as well. I do have new interviews coming up, and as stated, I will have Jessie's interview on my channel as well tomorrow. And so definitely go check out my stuff there and just keep on the lookout. It's like January, and so it's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff. I'm busy. I'm a busy mama. Um, but it's a lot of exciting stuff coming. So just keep on the lookout.
Awesome sauce. And of course, know that you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter/X at Queen Steph Hardy, and on Threads if you use that at Queen Steph Hardy. And follow me on TikTok at Stephanie_Hardy, and follow the Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter/X at Hardy Wrestle Pod. You can also listen to the show everywhere you get audio podcasts. That's Google, that's Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, basically everywhere you can get it there. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with the logo in it. And you can catch everything if you subscribe there. I have a new interview with the Kick Demon and MLW World Women's Featherweight Champion Janai Kai. Please check that out if you haven't already, as well as my other interviews with Maya World, and as well as Vicious Vicky. And I don't know, I might do an episode about the Royal Rumble. I'm not entirely sure. But you know, we're still collectively, you know, creating and putting things together, and just be on the lookout for more writing things from me from Daily DDT, and also, you know, other places too. Cause like next month is Black History Month. And if you know Black wrestling Twitter and Black wrestling, you know, media, we gonna do the things. So we are definitely doing the things for WOW, and it's just a really great time to be a creator, because wrestling is popping off, and as long as wrestling is popping off, we gonna be popping off too. So thank you guys so much for joining us on Steph and Cat Talk WOW, brought to you by In Cat We Trust and the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And until next time, love on women's wrestling as a whole. Have a great time this weekend, because we about to kick everything off. And bye, y'all.